It's the only time, eh?
Yeah, I think so. I like not that I can remember. It's still like games and stuff though. Okay. Hey everybody. I'm Dave Mader here on Live Long and Podcast and Star Trek the Original Series, Season 3, Episode 5 or 4, depending on what order you go in. And The Children Shall Lead from 1968 is over and has been since 1968, as mentioned. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. Wednesdays, we cover original series. Let's bring in my dad, Ted, the namesake of the Ted Trek Podcast. How are you doing tonight, Dad?
I'm doing great, thanks.
You ready to talk about the And the Children Shall Lead?
Yeah, I'm all set to go.
Parents always have such dumb ideas. Parents don't want to have fun. Won't let me have all my ice cream. All right, let's bring in next esteemed panelist Adam Woodward. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys?
Doing well. Ready to talk about The Children, Season 3.
I am.
Adam wants to get one of those onesies.
Yeah.
Ted, that's funny. I do. No, I don't.
Okay.
You got to get a pair of those galoshes that those kids are wearing. Too.
How about those shiny boots? Those are definitely
there's
shiny.
something else. I never really noticed those shiny boots tonight. But last but not least, we have a special panelist for tonight. First time here on Wednesday TED Treks, I think, is Kevin Millard. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
Doing good.
And Kevin's been on many of our other podcasts. If you're only a Wednesday dedicated listener, you're on the movie podcast. You're on the D Space Nine on Tuesdays, and you've been on many other podcasts. Radio theater. Yes, you're one of the radio theater players. So welcome tonight, Kevin. And are you excited that this is the episode that you were brought in to talk about?
It's one of the only episodes that focuses on kids that I can stand. So yeah.
Okay, and let's break this episode down because just for your own knowledge on my standpoint, I've seen this episode a lot. This was one of the episodes I watched. I guess we had it on VHS or something when I was a kid, because for whatever reason I watched this in reruns a lot. Although there was a scene I had never seen before. I guess they probably got cut out for time. Maybe in the version I saw. That didn't come up, and I'll tell you what that scene was. But this episode, it starts off like many others, a distress call. There's been a distress call on a Federation planet. We're beaming down to investigate. Okay, they get down there, and all these adults are dead. We got more guys in jumpsuits, as was characteristic of this original series. Like different, you got scientists in colored jumpsuits. The women had no arms to their jumpsuits, but they also wear jumpsuits, colored jumpsuits. And so they're looking around. They can't figure this out. They find one woman with a poison, like it looks like she's killed herself. And then Professor Starn shows up, but he's kind of not with it. And then he passes out and dies. And then the kids show up. Who will be with us for this whole episode. There's 5 of them, I believe. Let's just bring them up on here on screen. Representing the different countries of Earth. I think they were sort of meant to invoke here, with Peter being the older one. And we came to this episode, Kevin, because last week we watched Operation Annihilate, which was and this boy here, the one with the red hair, the tall one, he was also playing Kirk's nephew in that episode, but never got to talk. So that's how we came to this one for this particular week.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he never got to speak. There was a scene actually in that episode where he was cut. He was wearing like the uniform and everything else. But these kids with their shiny galoshes, if we can see them there, and I can't really see them, but they'll be messing with things about. But here, well, we'll talk about the different beats. They show up, and it's Ring Around the Rosie, pockets full of posy. And then
ashes, we all fall down. We used to play that as kids.
Right. And like when this came up, I remember this from this episode. I remember Kevin, do you remember adults trying to teach us Ring Around the Rosie?
Oh yeah,
Pocket-
yeah. I
yeah.
remember my mom trying to teach me Ring Around the Rosie. Yeah, and I was
we used to
always
play that.
kind of like, I'm not into it.
I never
I had the
taught
same
my kids.
experience. Yeah.
We never taught you that, did we?
You specifically, but adults in my era did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, when I was a kid, and just like, it's interesting. I think looking back on this episode and like, not just this one, but other episodes of the original series, just the way adults thought of children then, how children behaved or how a bad child would be considered to behave in this particular era. Because sorry, Adam, but a little bit like Miri, we have a bunch of kids here. Right, and those were kids that had been abandoned for 300 years. It was kind of like Lord of the Flies, but they looked like kids, but their minds were much older. But these actually are kids, but they behave somewhat similarly, and a little bit unnaturally, if I will. Interestingly enough, this episode is written by a man named Noam Chomsky. Oh, sorry,
Really?
Marvin Chomsky, who's the
Marvin.
brother of Noam Chomsky. I'm sorry, who is a famous economist and philosopher and political opinionator. If you don't know, anyway, but Marvin Chomsky, his brother, is the writer of this episode. And we come back. They've immediately put graves up. That was quick.
It's the future, man.
No,
They got them all buried. They got them all into the different graves. I don't actually have a picture of the headstone, but then we also see here that that they put up the UFP flag right next to it. And as we were
Which I gotta say looks more like a toy than a flag. Like,
yeah,
the size of it, everything is bad about it.
Now, how many?
The 13 stars, Dave. Do you know what the 13 stars represent?
I don't. I would presume that they, at this time, means that there are 13 Federation members, or Federation planets, or maybe 13 star systems, even. So that there, but yeah, this 13 stars is never really referenced again. And we get by the time we get to the original movie, like Star Trek: The Motion Picture in 1979, they've kind of established that Federation flag that we kind of know now, with the blue one with the stars that looks like the United Nations. But this was their kind of first attempt at a flag. It's not the worst. It could be but
it's not good, man. They could have just at least made it a little bigger. And Kirk standing next to it, it looks like a toy.
It looks like a high school basketball banner or something you'd win, a little pennant.
Yeah. The pennant, I don't know. I'm kind of, I guess it's not the best, but I didn't hate it. But I was impressed with the graves. The graves are up so fast, and there's not even holes, but it's the future. I get it. They can do it fast. The kids
didn't
didn't
have their first name though. It just had their last name.
Yeah, just their last name, and it was both parents for all 5 kids. So those were 10 people, right?
Yeah.
In those graves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the kids watched them be buried, but the kids also watched them die, or directly were involved in their deaths, as we find out. And then there's all this kind of talk like, hey, McCoy says to Kirk, we can't, something's wrong here. They've had some kind of trauma. They have to release the grief. I don't know what's going on here, but I can't explain it. And Kirk's like, well, you better figure it out. We have to have a mass. We look like we have a mass suicide here. Now at this point, this is season 3. They've dealt with their fair share of mind controlling, manipulative aliens by this point. But so maybe that's showing here in some of the decisions Kirk makes, because he's like, no, we got to figure out what the hell happened here, or it's going to happen again. He's
suspicious right away. Yeah,
he's onto this. But then we get this after he gets McCoy to beam up to the ship with the kids. And this is the scene I had never seen before, which was the scene where Kirk and Spock go into this cave that's kind of next to, I guess, their settlement where these 10 people and their kids were living. So, and then Kirk's overwhelmed by fear, this anxiety that hits him. Yeah.
He was great in this scene. I thought Kirk or Shatner was awesome. Like you could see. I mean, anybody who's had any anxiety in their life could see it. He felt like I felt it in that. That was one of the best scenes I think he's played in all the episodes I watched this whole way along here. And honestly, that funeral scene too. He did show emotion for once. For people on a planet that are dead, because usually he's just like moving on. But
his brother died.
Like when his brother died last week.
Yeah, he was more broken up about these 5 people or these 10 people than he was about his own brother.
Yeah. And but I thought that scene in that cave was really believable, and this episode for me started off great. I was really enjoying it.
Why do you think Spock wasn't affected in the cave?
He's got control.
But he was affected later by the alien, like by Gorgon and the kids there. They were able to control him, or they were.
That's the one thing I didn't get is it was a residual, left over in the cave or something, because I didn't, you didn't see the hand motion that we're probably going to talk about later, and they were, and they weren't close enough. Maybe I just thought it was like left over from before, because I didn't really question it. And you didn't need to, because you hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen this episode, by the way, guys. I don't remember it. So for me, it was all new.
Right. Like what I remember is like they come back, they bury them. And then what my recollection of this is that it goes straight to that ice cream scene with Nurse Chapel, which kind of comes in next. And even I think this scene was longer than I remembered it being, because how we talk about these original series episodes, they're a little longer than like a TNG episode, right? Because the commercial breaks had gone longer by like that era. And so, but I feel like when I was watching this as a kid, they were probably cutting a few minutes out of these episodes.
Yeah, probably.
Right. And I guess the scene in the cave, to your point, was good. Like that's not maybe the one I would have cut. I guess if you have to cut something, maybe that's the one you have to do. But
I just thought he was very, very believable, not overacting. I felt the anxiousness. I felt the fear. It was good.
Yeah, no, and Kevin, how are you feeling about the episode so far at this point?
It's good. Exact same thing. I like Shatner's performance throughout this whole episode. It's one of his strongest in this episode, I find. Even when he's in the turbo lift and
when he's dealing with his beast.
Yeah. It was good too.
It is a little overacty, but it's good. It's what you expect, right?
Right. I think Shatner gets a bum rap a lot.
I think he's a good actor. People don't think so, but he doesn't overact any more than Avery Brooks.
No. Not at all. The whole sequence where Nurse Chapel is put in charge of the ice cream dispensing, though, I do remember this a lot for whatever, I guess because I was a kid and it was about ice cream. And you could get whatever flavor combinations you want. There was this one kid, I think he was the Irish kid or whatever his name was, like O'Sullivan or something like that. I don't remember all their names.
I don't remember their names.
Steve, is that his name? Yeah, Steve O'Connell. That was it. So Steve O'Connell, he was mad that he got vanilla and coconut together.
Because they're both the same color.
Because they're both the same color. He wanted diversity in his ice cream, and he didn't get it. And so Nurse Chapel gives him this whole speech about, well, sometimes we get unexpected unpleasant surprises. Is that what she says here?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just unpleasant. That's part of growing up. I was like, what is this? And I don't remember this other scene that comes after where he does get the ice cream he wants. But he asks for a very unusual flavor profile here, in that he wants chocolate. Is it pistachio and peach? Is that right?
Peach. Yeah, peach.
Yeah. So did she just have a card ready for that? Like ready to go? That's
what it appeared to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this kid is possessed by Satan because he wants peach and chocolate ice cream mixed together. So
and pistachio.
But worse that she has a card ready for that, because they don't just tell the replicator what you want. You got to put something in.
Yeah. The mechanics of the food dispenser are dubious, I think, but most of the controls on the ship.
What happened to the one the kid put back in there that he didn't like?
Well, yeah,
Weird.
because this is not a replicator, right? This is a food dispenser, but it somehow is able to. It's kind of like a primitive replicator because in the later Star Trek's Dad, they can just make anything out of thin air. They can make any food, just
It's a dream.
just like a dream,
It's a dream.
any drink, whatever. But these food dispensers are a little like it's a little unclear how they work, and sometimes they eat like these colored cubes that don't quite look like food. But this is actually them eating ice cream. But parents like to do stupid things, Dad. Like be busy all the time.
busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, I'll
Busy,
sting
busy,
you.
Busy,
I'll sting you. Whatever was
busy
going on.
working all the time.
Yeah. This whole the whole thing where they come in and they try to like tell off Kirk. I'm like, these kids aren't very good misbehaviors. Like we're like they're pretty actually good with authority. Oh, we lost Kevin. All right. And then we get into the next sequence was they're the first like summoning of we don't know his name right away, but he's Gorgon. There's Kevin.
Gorgon, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Internet. Okay, you're back.
Yep.
Kevin, hail, fire and snow, something, bring the go, friendly angel, talk to me.
Then friendly angel, come to eat me. Come to me.
Yeah, here it is. Hail, fire and snow, call the angel, we will go far away for to see, friendly angel, come to me. This is after Kirk has ordered security guards to be posted to them.
I guess they're outside the door.
I get, but he's like, his order was, I want you to keep an eye on them.
That never happened.
Yeah, but I mean, they're playing. How are they going to know? I mean, they're playing a chanting game. I mean, you know,
they're playing a satanic cult chant thing.
They're kids. They're kids.
They're murdering kids. There are 10 people dead.
Their parents are dead. Holy crap!
They're not responsible. We know they're not. It was mind control or manipulation.
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't do it. Those people killed themselves because they were getting.
But they did the thing with the fist.
That was just to get the boom, boom, boom. You know, didn't you
Just
like
get the
music?
boom boom?
Didn't you like the music when they played it? Boom, boom, boom.
It's like doom,
Oh,
doom,
yeah.
doom. Right, and I'm like, and the other people around never see this or are completely unaware of it. Yeah, but it would play like a note, basically like the composer, the orchestra, kind of playing a note every time they did it.
Yeah.
But they call Gorgon in, the friendly angel. What do we make of this guy overall? Like this is again third season. All the money for special effects and other things was taken out, largely given, and so he's. I feel like he's a result of that. But I never really felt like he was a problem. Maybe as much as I did tonight, because I was conscious of the fact this is season 3 and there's no money, so they got to bring in this guy. Just sort of.
I didn't think it was a problem either. You know, he was a little bit intimidating, and I could see him easily controlling kids. You know, he's got that scary look around him. He's very stern looking, and
he looks like he's going to open that robe, and he's like a guy, like a creepo in the park or something.
oh boy,
You know.
I don't know. It looks like he was supposed to go to a St. Patrick's Day party and he got the wrong party.
He sparkles like an emerald. He does.
he's phasing out.
Yeah. So this guy was Melvin Moron Belly, who was a famous criminal defense and personal injury lawyer, but not an actor. But this was his sole acting credit.
Oh my god!
So they were really desperate on budget at this point, is what you're saying.
The budget must have been so low.
That
the budget was so low that he brought in his son Caesar Belly to play Steve.
Caesar Belly?
Yeah, he played Steve.
Oh, you're saying so that was his kid, the one who wanted the peach ice cream is his actual son.
Yeah.
There you go.
Caesar.
But as a lawyer, this guy Melvin Belly, he was a defense attorney for Jack Ruby, the man who famously murdered Lee Harvey Oswald on TV, the assassin of JFK. He also defended Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. He appears in the documentary "Gimme Shelter." So anyway, I know we're not in fun facts, but
he's a celebrity lawyer.
Celebrity lawyer, and I guess he ended up here. So
he was a lawyer for Muhammad Ali. He was Errol Flynn, Zsa Zsa Gabor, the Rolling Stones, Jim Baker, and Tammy Faye Baker.
I'm waiting to hear Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, when was he Gene Roddenberry's lawyer?
The King of Torts.
Is that how he paid him? Is that how Gene
paid him? Pro bono.
Yeah. He's like, I'll give you all part of my show, and your kid can be in it too. You can wear galoshes and sing about Ring Around the Rosie and such, those types of things.
He was also the lawyer for Jack Ruby, who shot Lee Harvey Oswald.
He had a peripheral role in the investigation of the Zodiac Killer in San Francisco killing between 1969 and 1973, and was portrayed by Brian Cox in David Fincher's 2007 film Zodiac. What?
He's everywhere.
This Gorgon. I never would have. I was just like, well, who played Gorgon? Where'd they get this guy? And then we went down this whole thing. I didn't know any of that until a few seconds ago. Impressive. Okay, but Gorgon in his sparkly effects and his like vocal modulation, not bad, And he says, "As you believe, so shall you do." He unveils his evil plot here. We're going to go to, what's the planet called? Marcos 12. And we're going we killed all those people on Triacus. We're going to do it on Marcos, as the planet is going. Jody says the lawyer is more interesting than this episode. He also wants to let us know.
He was a pretty interesting guy, though.
He goes, this episode is bad. Mirry bad.
Dad, Dave, to give you an idea, the age of Steve, which is Melvin Caesar Belli, would have been about the age I was when this was aired. He was born 1 year before me.
Okay, so this kid here in the blue.
This kid, no, not the kid. Yes, the second kid from the left.
Second from the left, yeah. So that's the son of the guy who plays Gorgon.
That's the son. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was when this was aired. When 1967.
68.
68. So he would have been 10 years old. He was born in 1957, March 28th. So he would have been 11, right?
Yeah, he's about 7 months older than you.
And I would have been 10.
Right. Well, the girl, how's the girl? She like closer to your age?
I don't know. I just brought up the kid.
Right. Okay. But and obviously the kid playing the older kid, I think his name's he's like he's meant to the one who played Peter Kirk, and his name is Craig Hundley, playing Tommy Starnes in this one. He's much older than the rest of them here.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. But their whole evil plot is kind of revealed. He's like how Gorgon is manipulating them is kind of explained, pretty succinctly. You get it right away. It's not hard to understand. And it works. And then they go up to the bridge, right? So even though they have all these security guards and whatever following them around, they're kind of like allowed to kind of go wherever they want, do whatever they need to do, because they're just kids and nothing to worry about here.
There's no rules about kids on the Enterprise. They roam free.
Yeah,
they roam free. They're allowed to do what they want.
I'm watching like the security guard. I'm like, this is the worst security guard. They can't get good help in Starfleet, man. Like it's really hurting. Like it's. Be fair, it's not great job security. You could die. You could get beamed into space.
The little girl was 8. She was 8 when this was filmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Tommy's up there. He starts running amok. The bridge crew starts getting hypnotized in various ways. I think Sulu is the first victim because they want to like set the ship to Marcus 12. Uhura had like, I don't know. She seems to get like a pre-beast. And then she gets like a full beast later on when she looks in the mirror and she sees like this old dying version of herself. But this is kind of the thing here. And I just wrote here, her like what they're all afraid of, respectively, is a little bit interesting. Like, we don't get a lot of insight into it, but Uhura is like, I'm like, Uhura's vain. Uhura's always
you
like,
bet Uhura is vain. Scotty's biggest fear is screwing something up and everyone dying. And Sulu's biggest fear is flying space swords. Like,
facing the wrong way, like not even facing in.
Yeah. Like,
I didn't get that. Like at least point them towards the ship.
He's just looking at these. Like, this is the remastered version too, right?
Oh,
we're watching. God. Like, they could have dialed this effect up, but they intentionally were like, no, it was always meant to be cartoon swords coming at you, sort of in a spiral fashion. It's quite
where the handle would bump the ship, okay.
Yeah, it was just like, okay.
Think back to computer animation in the 1960s. It wasn't that.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for bringing us back.
Yeah,
they didn't have the stuff we have today. That was pretty cool back then.
Right, but
you had the ends that should have faced the ship. Anyway,
it was
just like
8-9-year-olds.
Okay, and it was odd to me that like it took that. We'll get to it when we talk about those two red shirts getting beamed into the cold of space, but that nobody kind of really like. Scotty notices it eventually, but wouldn't anybody looking out a window kind of know right away that the ship is no longer in orbit?
Have you ever seen a window on the inside of the Enterprise?
Very rarely from the inside, but on the outside we see them. We see even people sometimes walking through the like the corridor.
Well, they don't. People looking out the window, even if they were crew members in their cabin, they would not know where the ship was going. Maybe all the time.
I guess, but you would know if. I would think you would know if you go from orbit to.
No, I'll put an order, and they didn't know about it.
I guess so. Yeah,
but they also have that distinct sound on the Enterprise when it's moving. I mean, when they're in orbit, it doesn't make that.
Yeah.
You don't hear the engines going like you usually do. So.
Right.
Yeah,
it was just like Scotty kind of notices, like he's the first to notice. He comes into like the auxiliary control, and he's like, "Hey, have you gone blind, you damn fool? Where are you?" And he's like. Okay, and then he tries to.
Scotty can feel the ship and know how fast it's going. He described that in
TNG.
Right? TNG. Yes.
Yeah, and for you, Dad, you probably don't know that, but when James Doohan showed up on Next Gen, he would talk about in the old days he could tell how fast the ship was going just by the rattle of the ship plates, right? Of the deck plates. That's how in tune he was. But he tries to because what the kid's name was Don. He was the one assigned to engineering to do the fist pumps, and he got those two generic engineers kind of hypnotized first, but he doesn't. But then those guys end up fighting Scotty when he tries to intervene. Scotty should have called it in, but he tries to get it in, and he gets clubbed on the back by one of these guys, and knocked out.
He tried to call it in.
Well, sort of, yeah. It didn't. I think that there should be procedures, when you're in Starfleet and you walk in and your crewmates are completely crazy, doing things that don't make sense. Get the hell out of there.
Or if you're gonna beam someone down to a planet, you should probably make sure there's a planet there.
Yes, make sure there's a planet, because we go after this little thing with Scotty.
Small minor detail.
Well, there is this whole exposition scene in the conference room before that, where I think it's Kirk, Spock, McCoy just talking about what do we know about Triakis? What do we know about the history here? And they're like, there used to be a planet. It was a planet of marauders, many a long time ago, right? But then the victims of the marauders, did they create Gorgon? Is that what they're saying here, to fight back against them? Did anyone understand this?
Not really.
No. That's what I got from it, but I don't even remember this scene. I feel like this also was cut out in most versions, because Kevin, you may remember this episode more, but
I didn't remember this scene.
I don't remember this scene either. And maybe they did cut it out of the more modern versions, because it doesn't really matter. And clearly none of us understood it. We can just presume the entity got there somehow, or was left behind by an ancient civilization. all good. But then they go to beam the red shirts down. They're like, we need to beam some red shirts down, and they need to figure out if there's anything on that planet that we can figure out. It's like one of these few times that Kirk doesn't beam down himself because we've seen like a lot when he wants to go find out stuff. Him and Spock kind of go do it themselves, but he couldn't do it this time because he can't beam himself into space. So he beams down these two red shirt guys, and then he's like, okay. They were also trying to beam up somebody that was already there, right? Is that how they figured it out?
After that's how they figured it out. Yeah, they were going to beam up whatever landing party they had on the planet already.
So they had to go back and get those guys. Presumably, those guys were just like, "Hey, I guess the ship left us here on Triacus with a bunch of graves and a flag." And,
the ship's gone? Did somebody time travel while we weren't looking?
Yeah, was it a routine time travel back to 1968 to meet Gary Seven? Could be.
Yeah, Gary Seven.
Jody wants us to know this episode is simply dull to the point of being unwatchable.
It was good for the first half. I thought it was really good until the fist pumps.
You know what? I'm okay with the fist pumps.
I am too. I liked watching all their fears and the flying space swords turn the wrong direction.
Right. But like once they realized they beamed down those, he's like, we just beam those guys into space. And like, I maybe that's why this episode stuck to me with a kid, because the idea of being beamed into the dead of space was kind of like, I guess you think about all the terrible ways to die. This is a bad one. So it's kind of. I
wonder if you'd even wake up, like if you're beamed into space, are you gonna be conscious for a minute? I guess you would be for a second.
Because you'd have to suffocate, right?
A second, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've tested this. I've seen like it in some science fiction versions, but I don't know if they really know what happens to you in a vacuum or not. Because I don't know.
There would be no air, and it would be really cold.
Right, but the cold would need at least a few seconds to go through you, like for all your energy or heat energy.
I think it would kill you instantly when you woke up.
I don't think you would survive for too long.
Battlestar Galactica is good. I think because when they throw people out the airlock, they do a good job on that.
Right. There was one episode where Chief and the cat and Callie, they had to kind of go through the vacuum, and that was only for like maybe 5 seconds, and that nearly killed them. Yeah. Right. So.
What was that episode?
That's a Battlestar Galactica episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're just saying, like in science fiction, like showing this kind of effect of getting put into a vacuum. I also think of like The Simpsons. I think of like Ren and Stimpy, or not Ren and Stimpy. We're the cat and mouse team in The Simpsons.
Ren and Stimpy.
Itchy and Scratchy.
Itchy and Scratchy. Sorry, not Ren and Stimpy. Itchy and Scratchy. I feel like I remember them blowing up in space and with those kinds of things. But yeah. It's not good. It's not a good way to go. And then this is where I wrote, cannot anybody look out a window before you start using the transporter? But they thought that they were where they were. And then they go to the bridge to kind of figure this out. Gorgon showed, like, the kids are already doing their Children of the Corn dance. They're ringing around the Rosie.
Yeah, that was a very, very much like Children of the Corn. I found that too. And they had the red-haired kid too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Malachi.
Yeah, they're doing their what was it? Fire and Snow. Friendly angel, come to me. But and Kirk drops them on. He's like, could record you when you were doing that, and he uses that against them later when they won't summon him, which I thought was great. He's like, I was recording you the whole time. But Gorgon shows up, and Gorgon's like, hey, we're gonna take over this ship. He's kind of like the gangster. He's kind of like Bella Oxmix. Says, hey, we're taking over now up on this ship, and they can't do nothing about it because Kirk's like, hey, Sulu, what are you doing, man? And he's going around trying to like kind of wake the bridge crew up. And he's like, we're going to use their beasts against them, Gorgon says. So Sulu sees swords. Uhura, sees, we got to look at this makeup. Because this is.
Did she always have a mirror on her station?
No. I was like, where did this mirror come from that she suddenly has on her? It's not there for the entire episode, and then it's just suddenly there when this happens to her. And this is how because Kirk's like, call Starfleet Command and let them know that we got problems. And she's like, no problem, Captain. And then this is how they take her down. He orders Spock to do it. Spock can't do it either, but he can't explain why. We don't really feel what Spock's beast was. Then Kirk goes over to the security guard, which is maybe one of my favorite parts. Kirk goes to the security guard. He's like, "Hey, get these kids out of here and and get Sulu out of that station." And he's just all he sees Kirk going like wah wah wah, like garble talk, like just nothing.
Yeah, like that security guard too. Wouldn't he be like, "What?" No, but he's just standing there,
he just stood there.
Like, we're not paying you to talk, so you just. And
you're the captain. I can't understand you. I'm not going to question anything.
He's like,
I'm not even going to acknowledge you until I understand you.
I was literally assigned to guard an 8-year-old girl, like to go around the ship. So what are you going to do? And then Kirk's beast comes over. I'm losing control of the ship. More, is it overacting or is it just amazing acting?
It's a little of both.
So on that,
he's emoting.
So you have the whole bridge crew incapacitated, right? And then Kirk loses it, and Spock has lost it. But I thought it was pretty cool that, as a first officer, he still got him off the bridge, into the elevator, into the turbo lift, and again to remove him from that scene. Okay, let's get control here because we got to get back in control. And Kevin, you said earlier that scene in the elevator again, he did very well with that fear, portraying it. I think both of them were a little bit. It was a good scene. The two best scenes in that episode were the cave and the elevator.
Yeah, and it's one of the first times he does that, Spock does that, Jim, like that low. He does that in the movies too when he's really trying to make a point.
Yeah,
and change Kirk's mind. It's always that low kind of Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see me do that? I didn't.
Except for an Amok time when he went, Jim!
That's true.
I
thought that was. I thought that Shatner. He's really strong in this episode. If anything, I feel like Leonard Nimoy. He's fine, but he's been stronger.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a big Spock episode.
No.
It was a lot of Spock just standing there, being there.
But after Kirk and Spock kind of get their stuff together, they go to see Scotty. They go to the auxiliary control room, and he's like, "Scotty, we got to do something about this. You got to get this under control." And he's like, "Are you trying to blow up the ship?" And he's like, he threatens to kill Kirk pretty quickly. He's like, "You get out of here, or we're going to kill you." Oh. This is menacing Scotty. Like murderous Scotty, and I know he's mind controlled and everything, but he was very threatening. I believed he was going to kill him.
Yeah, for touching his ship.
Yeah, he's, "How dare you? If you touch any of this sensitive equipment, you're gonna blow up the whole damn thing." All right.
You know that Scotty's not Irish, right?
I know, but I can't do a Scottish, so he's Irish in my version. I maybe can do a Chekhov, because Chekhov and these guys show up. I think Freeman is the security guard on the right there. He's like, "I've been ordered to arrest you, Captain Kirk," who he's being controlled by Tommy in this scene. And he's like, "Well, who gave you those orders?" He's like, "I don't know, sir, but this is serious." Anyway, we go to commercial, they come back, and then Kirk and Spock fight these three, and even though it's 2 versus 3 and they got the phaser, Kirk and Spock get the best of them and win the fight.
Did he play Fizbin with him first?
No, he didn't even need to play Fizbin.
Only on Tuesdays.
Yeah, and then what I thought was interesting though is that even though that they're mind controlled and everything else, after Kirk and Spock do get the best of them in this fight and they have the upper hand, and like, Kirk's like, "Spock, put them in like the brig or whatever," right? And they just they go along with it because Spock's got the phaser. But if they were truly mind controlled, I don't know if it would have mattered.
Just go.
Yeah, like the
they went to the brig like with their heads down and like they were in trouble.
Yeah, they're like, "Sorry, we tried to like take out the captain, the first officer, and take over the ship." Like, whatever. Yeah. are bad. This is like the checkoff from Mirror Mirror. He's like, nobody will question the assassination of a superior officer who defies direct orders of the Empire. After all of that, well, maybe it was before. Actually, no, it was in between when Scotty and Chekhov. I missed it, but Spock was basically saying like, Jim, we got to kill these kids. they're a problem. It was like so dark. He's like, they are not our friends. We got to take them out.
There's 402 people on this spaceship, and we have to take out the kids. That was awesome. Yeah, that was good.
You never think of the Doctor being the one to be like, hey, we got to kill a bunch of kids right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to do it either, but I kind of
beam them out, man. Like, just get them out.
Yeah, they're always telling us we suck. We're busy. We're too busy. You know, we don't care about anything. These kids suck. Then we go back to the bridge, and this is kind of like the final encounter. We got Tommy here in Kirk's chair. Kirk's not too impressed, I don't think. Get out of my chair. It's like Wesley Crusher sitting in Picard's chair. But Kirk says, "Hey, why don't you call your friend? He sucks. Call him, and I'll show you how much he sucks. But unless he is as awesome as you say, and then I'll do whatever he says." And they're like, "No, we're not doing it." He's like, "Well, I got it on recording." Hit the play button, and gets into it. And I don't know when we found out his name was Gorgon, but not like he's just called the Friendly Angel through most of this, or just their friend or whatever. Now he has a name. He suddenly has a name.
Yeah, I think Kirk just made that name up.
Yeah, I was like,
on the spot.
There must have been like something else cut from the episode or the script that would have introduced that.
You had to say it twice too. The same.
Yeah, and I don't know. The conversation was very weird. He's like, "Well, these adults aren't part of my plan because they're too gentle and too good, right? As opposed to the kids who are not gentle and not good." Is that what we're like? What? Yeah, right?
Kids are mostly sociopathic. They get older.
I see. Yeah, I thought it was like why they were vulnerable to manipulation. Like I thought, hey, they're younger, but they're also more willing to, I guess, be malicious. Is that what was exploited here? But he's like, hey, Spock, why don't you play the pictures? The old pictures, the moving picture box, you know? It was just because they were basically home movies, but they kept calling them pictures. And it felt a bit. This was like 1960s, I think. But throws it up there. It's them. They're playing volleyball or whatever at their campsite. Where is it? Here they are. They've got their volleyball, their beach ball. It was a great old time. The kids could remember how awesome their parents were and the good times they had, all wearing the same clothes that they had on. But then it clips away and they show the scene of them all dead. They're all dead. And then the kids cry. They're able to kind of process that, hey, I did care about my parents. And then, hey, they're dead. And this, and then that's how the children are able to like learn he's bad.
It's a good thing they tried this instead of going with McCoy's suggestion right off the bat.
Because McCoy was kept urging like caution. He's like, don't push them too hard. Don't do it because you could traumatize them. Just kill them. That's the answer. Don't treat them. But this seems like
one set of clothes, these people.
Yeah, it's all cost. I mean, they couldn't even hire actors, Dad. They had to hire personal injury lawyers to play their parts.
Personal injury lawyers and their kids.
Right? Like it was like, who can he get to come in for this? But yeah, then Gorgon, I don't have a picture of it. He starts turning into like he melts away into like this thing. They're like, ugh, so gross, and that's how they beat him. A little bit like the aliens that they just had to laugh at in Day of the Dove, which is also season 3 actually. That with Kang.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we need no urging to hate humans. Right. And
that's a great scene.
Right. And so it's kind of a similar thing. If you confront fear or the manipulator or the villain, they usually like cower in shame. And that's kind of it's an old story. And I think that's the end of it, right? Then he's like, McCoy shows up. He's like, They're crying, and you didn't even have to kill them. This is amazing.
Yeah, he's like, they're crying. That's great to see. He wants them dead. He likes watching them cry. He's not a fan of kids, that's for sure.
Yeah. And he's like, let's go home. Let's take you to the starbase and drop you off like I dropped off my nephew, who was also played by the same kid. So and just not thinking about this again. And then that's the end of the story. Another couple of comments here from Jody. He said, every time something weird happens, that kid's doing a magical fist pump. That's true. And this is like a screwed up after school special with a mix of Star Trek. Well,
I think the summary of this episode could be Kirk saves the day by making a bunch of kids cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I also noticed is just how much William Shatner, whenever he was working with kids, loved to like pick kids up, especially.
You know what though? That was another thing about this episode with him though. I really believed he was like he truly liked working with kids.
Yes,
Like,
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that camaraderie with them. Like he was just, and he had that look, that he just enjoyed it, and not in a bad way. Okay, just enjoyed it.
William Shatner has a mischievous side, lot like a kid, right? So it comes out in him when he's around kids.
Yeah, the name of the game is Fizbin.
Yeah.
How lucky for you! That's like, I think that's his kid. Like that's his like his prankster or something like that. Like he was more childish aspects. Like you see it come out in Shatner sometimes, right? The Shatner's a bit of a joker.
Oh yeah. Has anyone seen Invasion Iowa?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's all him just messing with an entire town, the birthplace of Kirk. And William Shatner just messing with them
in Riverside, Iowa. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's Shatner's an interesting guy for sure. Okay. Jody is saying Murray vibes from this episode.
Okay. Is everybody hate the Miri episode? Is that what I'm gathering?
Okay, so just for some background, when we watched the episode Miri, which Adam was like, "Hey, we should watch Miri. That's a good episode, right?" So we did watch it, and our big takeaway from the episode that night was that Shatner was kind of hitting on Miri, kind of using her crush on.
She was 14.
She was 14, but she was like really like 300. So it was kind of complicated. But she looked like a 14-year-old girl, and was also played by one. And so Shatner / Kirk flirting, it didn't sit well with us.
And she liked Kirk as well.
Record, I did not remember that as a kid. Like I just remember the scary factor of the movie. The what do you call it? All the warts and disease they had. That's what I remember. It's gross, plain and simple, Jody. So, since that episode, which was like way back in like September, Ted Trex it's referenced. So I'm now bringing Miri to everything.
Yeah, it was the 23rd podcast we did in this series. But yes, it comes up. It often comes up, and then Adam's like, "Oh, how long until Miri gets referenced?" It's the worst episode ever, which it doesn't even have our lowest rating, but it's not great. Anyway, so that's the whole episode. This is usually the part of the show where we break out some facts. Either Adam or as we christened last night on.
I got one.
You got one?
I got a good one. Yeah, I was just we're talking about the what's his name, that the lawyer, right?
Yes.
Melvin Belli.
Right.
Melvin Belli.
So here it is here. So watching a first rough cut of the episode without visual effects and music, Gene Roddenberry was appalled by Belli's stilted performance and lack of acting talent and ordered the producers to distort Gorgon's voice and appearance by covering him in a green glow as much as possible.
I guess it helps.
Yeah.
If he had just like appeared as a guy without this like effect, I guess it would have been lesser, I think.
What would be the point? You needed something.
Yeah. Right. But they could have given this guy makeup or something. He just looks like a dude in a weird robe.
Yeah.
Season 3, man.
Season 3. No money.
No budget.
No money, no actors.
All 8 of the major regular performers were in this episode.
That's like a rare thing because it's always an episode where like Sulu's not in this episode, or Uhura's not in this one, or Chekhov's not in this one.
Yeah, Sulu's often doing the Green Berets all the time, you know. So
And by the 8, you're also including Chapel, right?
I guess I would be.
She's in.
And I don't think she's a major character, but
Wait, how many people are behind Dad there in that picture? One.
so you got Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Sulu, Uhura, Chapel, and Chekhov.
Yeah, those are the 8. Okay, so Chapel counts.
She's in enough episode. She's like a Jake for Deep Space Nine.
She's the Jake. She's the Guinan.
Yeah, that's better. She's Guinan.
There you go. Recurring.
Yeah.
So the mirror in which Uhura sees her aged reflection at the communication station is never used in any other episode, of course.
So is it really there?
Yeah, the mirror itself may. Oh, listen to this. The mirror itself may have been an illusion created by the children. So yes, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Nichelle Nichols did not grow old to look like this.
Oh,
No.
Good. During one of the scenes on the bridge, Kirk tries to give his orders to Leslie, but his words are garbled, which we talked about. If the audio for the scene is played in reverse, oh my gosh, Kirk can be heard to say, "Remove Lieutenant Uhura and Mr. Spock from the bridge. Confine them to quarters. Did you hear me? Take Mr. Sulu to his quarters. He's relieved of duty. Remove Lieutenant Uhura from the bridge," and says it again.
That's all. It's just reversed.
Yep.
But I thought when you reverse things, you have to put some kind of satanic like a thing in it. Isn't that what the Beatles do?
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. You know, kill the kid. Kill the kid.
Kill the kid. Kill the kid.
Yeah.
It was a fake mustache.
I like the quote that they had: "Evil does seek to maintain power by suppressing the truth or by misleading the innocent."
Misleading the innocent.
Yeah.
What they do. These kids were innocent.
Sounds like Donald Trump's campaign slogan.
Gorgon is like the Trump of the Star Trek universe.
Yes.
You got more facts?
So one more here. This is the only episode of the original series in which we see the fully fledged United Federation of Planets flag.
Okay.
Wow.
And like we said, it was not as good as it maybe could have been.
I find it underwhelming.
Yeah, it's a pennant.
It's a pennant. It's not even their flag. It's more like a pennant. You know, it's I don't know. It's something.
So here's the story. The idea to cast noted attorney Melvin Belli as Gorgon came when his son Caesar Belli was cast as Steve. So Caesar got the job, and producer Fred Freiberger hoped that the presence of Belli would boost ratings.
Wait, because he was Jack Ruby's lawyer?
Yeah, this plan failed, and Freiberger realized it would have been more appropriate to cast an actor in the role.
Wait.
Wow.
Wait. This will be great for the show. We're gonna have Jack Ruby's lawyer.
So it's like bringing, O.J. Simpson's lawyer in or something.
Yeah, Johnny Cochran on Star Trek. Like he's in All Good Things suddenly.
And then at the end, just going like, yeah, maybe an actor would have been a better idea. Who would have thought?
Yeah, this is a fairly big role. You know.
Yeah. But even Gene Roddenberry hated it, and he goes, "Make him green, make him fading out."
Like they could have made him like a red shirt.
Voice.
If they wanted him to be in the episode, they could have just said he's playing a red shirt and like thrown him into like the Chekhov scene or something.
They could have beamed him into space.
He could have beamed him into space. I guess because if you're gonna distort his voice and his appearance, I don't know what the whole point is like of having him at all. Like again, like I think he reads the lines fine.
I think it's fine. But maybe it was terrible before.
Maybe they were just conscious of the fact that he wasn't an actor, and so in their minds he had to be bad.
But I bet you they like the price.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, which he probably got paid scale or whatever. Wonder if he got into like the union for just doing it, because he has a pretty long monologue. You know, like a whole block of text. I wonder if he actually read that off a cue card or actually memorized all that. Or
Hey, you know, at the beginning of the episode, you guys were talking about, Ring Around the Rosie.
Mhm.
For me as a kid, I remember doing that as well. But when I found out later in life what it was, like what it really meant, I was like horrified. It was
What
about the
does it
bubonic.
really mean?
Okay, so Ring Around the Rosies. Rosies are the bubonic plague things you had on your face during the plague. And the
Okay.
posies were flowers to take away the stink of the bodies.
Ashes, we all fall down.
Yeah, we all die. It's all about death.
Very morbid. This is not a good thing to teach to kids.
See, no one knew what it meant.
Jody.
He just wants to smack that ginger kid. I think he's referring to Tommy. Yeah, he's not referring. Okay, any other facts, Adam? Are you?
No,
it was pretty unremarkable. There was not much there.
The only thing I can tell you is this was rated the worst episode ever by one Star Trek review agency.
I wouldn't say that.
No, not even close.
I'm just telling you what they rated it at.
I know. But the redeeming fact of this episode was that Shatner was good.
Shatner,
not according to them.
Not according to them, but hey, it's subjective. All right, let's get to our next section, which will be rating this episode, and bring this in. So just to bring in our ongoing spreadsheet of details, we are going to rate this episode. Dad, do you want to take us away?
Yeah, I'm going to give it about a 6.
6. I have
It's got a little harder in episodes later.
Yeah, it's tougher to impress him. I'm going higher. I'm going up.
I never liked that kid with the red hair.
No, Jody doesn't like him either.
Wait a minute. Why am I caring?
It's not fun facts, Adam. Sorry, did you read that comment?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, was that your in regards to ashes, they all fall down and all of that?
Oh no, that's sad facts. Yeah,
that's sad facts with Adam. Okay,
well, we got to know the good with the bad sometimes.
Sometimes you got to know, just like what Chappell said. Sometimes you get a disappointing surprise.
That's right.
I'm gonna go 8 for this.
Wow.
If every day was a sunny day, we wouldn't appreciate a sunny day.
I think this episode is fairly fine. Okay.
8.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you're way too harsh on this, Mater. All right, Kevin.
I think you're way too high.
7.
Okay, Kevin's going the middle ground between us.
Yep.
Adam?
Dave, I think you should divide your assignment Earth and your children shall lead and split them in 2.
Assignment Earth, I upgraded my 1 to a 2, and this is as far as I'm going to do.
You gave Assignment Earth a 1?
That's
okay. Kevin, did you like it, Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you want to throw a rating in while you're here for Assignment Earth?
Yes, Kevin, please.
Sure. I give it an 8.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
All right.
Outstanding.
You're bringing it up. But Jody,
which is rare because I'm usually bringing everything down.
Yeah. I'm getting some criticisms. 8. What are you? Drugs are you on? And even Jane is questioning an 8. That's right. I was going to go higher.
What 8 is Jane? Is that an 8 for Assignment Earth or for this episode?
No, she's questioning my vote here. Adam, where are you going to fall?
I'm a 7 on this episode.
You're a 7, okay.
Oh, he's a 7.
And Jody, if you're out there, you can throw one in too, since you did watch the episode.
I think he said 8.
Jody said 8.
I think he said 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't you tell by all his comments? He absolutely loved this episode.
Yeah, he said 8. It's an 8 there somewhere. I seen it. You got to go in one of his 47 comments. Some of them are showing.
Yeah. Not yet, Jody. Not yet. All right. But Jody, if you have a number you want to assign to it, let us know. But anyway, for the 4 of us tonight, we're averaging at a perfect 7, at least so far. This has a 5.2 on IMDb, which is way below what most
I'm the
episodes.
lowest. This is a rare thing.
This is not that bad of an episode. Okay, Jody's going 3. Jody's going 3.5.
3.5.
So,
Okay, that'll bring
it. He likes it more than Assignment Earth, but only barely. And mine average is 5.8. So this is not the worst episode we've ever watched, but it's down.
Yeah,
Kids. Okay, so then we got to pick our next episode that we're going to watch, as we're continuing to watch all 79 original series episodes, not in order.
Which is
the
the
episodes.
proper way to watch Star Trek.
Yeah, this isn't. It's not in order. It's their own episodes didn't even air in order, so there's no need to watch them in order.
How about the Conscience of the King?
The Conscience of the King is your pick, Dad?
Yeah, let's do that one.
All right, let's do that one.
Conscience of the King.
If anyone has knows about that episode, let me know.
Oh, that one is that's with the actors. And I know what that one
Oh,
is.
I like this episode.
Yeah,
this
it's
is a good
good.
episode. Kodos the Executioner.
Yes, that Kodos the Executioner.
Who's Kodos? The
Kodos,
Executioner?
Oh yeah, Kodos. Yeah.
This episode's not ringing any bells, so I'm always excited to watch an episode I've never seen before. So that's okay. We're doing The Conscience of a King a week from tonight, April. I guess that would be April 21st. That would be. I should be able to figure that out on my own. Okay, so we'll be back in a week to talk about that. Also to plug our other shows. We here on Live Long and Podcast, we're talking about Star Trek all week long. On Tuesdays, we talk about Deep Space Nine. Kevin, you're over on that one. We're into season 3. We watched Defiant last night with Thomas Riker. Right? That was a good one.
And his fake beard because he can't grow a real one.
Hold those beards off. So if you want to know about Deep Space Nine, check us out on Tuesdays. We're watching every episode of Deep Space Nine in order, and we're in the 3rd season now. Here Wednesdays, obviously, the original series, and then we also have done Picard, Discovery. We've done Lower Decks. We've done all the movies. Eventually, we're moving on to Enterprise and other shows too. Once we kind of wrap up a few of these other ones, and plus we also do this thing called Star Trek Radio Theater on the weekends, where we reenact the Star Trek scripts. Our next production is called Our Man Bashir, which is going to feature it's a Deep Space Nine episode, which is in a James Bond theme. So we got our Jaemeel Robinson playing Dr. Julian Bashir, kind of in a James Bond-esque version of Julian Bashir, along with Jeff Mader as Garrick, the Cardassian. You got Michael Chan playing Cisco. Kevin, you're going to be Lieutenant Commander Michael Eddington, your favorite Star Trek actor.
The only one that's worse is Barclay.
Yeah, he's the only Canadian in all of Star Trek, so you're playing him.
Yeah, I hate him.
He's in it. We got Ashley Millard as Major Kira / the Russian holodeck character. I'll be playing Worf / his holodeck character. Anyway, there's a lot. We have Jessica Chan, Tom Mott, Tyrell in this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Check that out. Sunday night, April 18th at 9 p.m. Plus, what else do? We do another channel called Trivial Debates, where we argue about TV, sports, and more. We're going to have, that's going to be on April 25th, the Sunday. And we were going to have Ted Mader in there, but he tapped out and is thrown in his wife, also known as my mom, as the contestant here to go against Adam Woodward and Jody Simpson in this episode. And we got some Eamon Mader hosting this one. So I don't know. It's gonna be a spicy one. Check that out on April 25th.
Look out, Jody! She's coming for you.
She's coming for you, Jody. Yeah, he says Ted Mader's too scared to show up on the Trivial Debates. He's got to send his wife. I know.
I know when I'm beat.
Yeah, you looked at the questions and you were like, "I'm out. I can't do this." So, and then
I didn't even know half the answers to the questions.
You didn't even know what they were referencing. Like they asked you about a movie soundtrack. I was like, first of all, Dad doesn't watch movies and let alone know the soundtracks. So it's you're out. You're out.
I would have came up with the Beverly Hillbillies movie from 1973.
That would have been. You'd be like, that's the only movie I've seen in the last 30 years, and it's the only thing I could reference. I don't know what the soundtrack is, if there even was a soundtrack. I assume.
Well, it's Lester Scruggs and Billy Flat or whatever it is.
Are they the guys who wrote the music?
Yeah, for Jed's a Millionaire.
Right. But yeah.
Some by Tom Scoggins.
There you go. Some fun facts about the Beverly Hillbillies movie from the 1990s. And then also, lastly, our other channel, Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. That's where we do TV and movie that's not Star Trek related. So Jaemeel Robinson and I are covering Big Brother Canada 9 right now. We're into week 7. We're making progress. We've done 19 podcasts already. There's gonna be our 20th tonight. You can't stop us. We're going. And we've also talked about Survivor seasons. We talked about Big Brother US. We've talked about Westworld. We've done Marvel. Jeff wants to do The Serpent, another Netflix show that just came out. And we're also going to be probably looking. I want to do The Circle, which is also just came out.
I watched the first episode of that last night. Man, that's a scary show.
Of what? The Serpent?
The Serpent, yeah.
Well, maybe you should come on our podcast to talk about that whole season. Yeah, it's about a guy who drugs people and steals.
Yeah, and kills them. Yeah.
Kills them and steals their shit. So, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Jeff watched it and he got pretty scared. He's like, we got to talk about this. I was like, okay. So that's really all it takes.
It's kind of really creepy.
It's creepy. Yes. It's very
it's creepy.
so hey, you want to watch Jeff Maynard and I talk about that? A creepy Netflix show?
Oh, I'd have to watch the end of it, and that might be the hard part.
Maybe too scary.
I only watched 1 of 8 episodes.
Okay, well, we'll see where this goes. I have to watch 6 more. I'm only 2 in, so.
Then I had to turn it off because it was too big.
Watch who you accept a drink from. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Even if it's a peach and chocolate flavored thing. Okay, so that's what that kid wanted in his ice cream.
Oh, okay.
I was calling it back, guys. It was a callback.
Sorry, I missed it.
No,
I dropped the ball.
It wasn't good execution. Anyway, we're closing the book on the children should lead. Anyway, so we'll be back in a week to talk about the conscience of the king. All right. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dad. Thanks, Kevin, for coming on this week. Thank you, Jody, out there in the comments, and Jane and everybody else. And we'll be back soon. Until then, live long and podcast, everybody. Have a great night.
Good boys.